2023 was one of Magic's best years in the rememberable past, but 2024, let's take a look at the future. Well, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie. I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. I hope you had yourself a great weekend at the Commander Masters release events, whether you're at an LGS or just playing at home with your friends. We had a ton of fun this weekend. I know the set's really expensive and that kind of prevented a lot of people from buying boxes and that kind of stuff, but people really enjoyed drafting the 4-pod draft here at the local game store, and it was a blast. So let me know what you're thinking about Commander Masters outside of, the market is not accepting set boxes and that kind of stuff. But I wanted to today talk about 2024 because this weekend we got the whole snapshot of the year, and actually we got kind of stuff for the next 3 years, but we're gonna just hone in on 2024. We're gonna talk a little bit about the things that are happening, and then I'm gonna tell you kind of my thoughts on the future, because this thing, I'll put it on the screen, it looks like a PlayStation release schedule. It doesn't look like a Magic the Gathering release year where you have this like fantasy worlds, and it looks like a PlayStation game with all these different things. Let's just get into a couple of them. Number one, you've got Ravnica Remastered, which is obviously going to be the same thing as like Time Spiral Remastered, as Dominaria Remastered. It'll be the Ravnica set kind of put into old border frames and that kind of stuff. We'll talk about that eventually. But then a really cool thing is Murders at Karlov Manor, which is like a set that takes place just inside a mansion in Ravnica. And I believe there's also a Clue-like board game coming out with that, but then it's a full-on set, is my understanding. It's also a full-on set. I really like the idea of just honing into one like house inside of a plane that we're used to, and we're not gonna get the same typical Ravnica tropes that everyone gets sick of, but instead we'll see a more detailed approach to something, which is kind of cool. And then I really like the idea of doing a board game for Magic the Gathering. I know they've done it in the past and whatever, but it does bring a lot more people into the game, which is pretty cool. And then we have Fallout Commander decks happening, and Fallout Commander decks, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but the Commander decks in Universes Beyond have been extremely good, and so I would imagine that Fallout will be next. And then this is the weird one. Are you ready for the weird one? We have the Outlaws of Thunder Junction, which is a Wild West centered themed set, which just doesn't fit the magicness in my mind. Modern Horizons 3, I'm hoping we get the reprint of the Allied fetch lands. Assassin's Creed, I don't know if that's a full set or exactly what that one was. I don't follow Assassin's Creed. But Bloomborough, which is a really cool realm and world of mice. So it's not just humanoids, it's just mice. And then Duskmourn, which is another just like house theme. So we have two, we have a manor and a house theme, and Duskmourn is a plane that exists just inside a house. So it is a Magic the Gathering realm that just exists inside of a house. So all these things, and my first initial gut opinion was, holy moly, where's the swords? Where's the fantasy? Where's the old school hitting people with stuff and blocking, and where's the old school Magic feel? I think I think we're done with that. And that's a tough swallow for an old dude like me to swallow. That's a tough pill to swallow. But on this list, in terms of old school Magic, you've got basically Ravnica Remastered, and then Bloomborough probably. Assuming you don't care about pretending to be a mouse. There's no old flavor fantasy swords and hitting each other feel going on in this year, which is kind of wild, and it almost feels like Magic has changed. And this is why I think other people have already started doing this, but this is basically the Funko Pop era of Magic the Gathering, where we're just taking, there's no how do you describe Magic the Gathering, looking at that release cycle, how do you describe Magic the Gathering to somebody? Previously, you would say, oh, it's like a high fantasy card game where you battle each other and you fight each other with, you have different swords, or maybe somebody is more of a magician or magic and casts spells and whatever, but it's like a high fantasy, kind of like Lord of the Rings. Well, now you're like, oh, I don't know, sometimes you've got Wild West guns, and sometimes you've got Assassin's Creed characters. This is the Funko Pop era of Magic the Gathering. But that being said, I think that this 2024 is going to produce more excitement and drive for the game than 2023 did. When we saw the 2023 release, we all got excited. 2023 I said at the beginning of the video, 2023 was a absolute insane year for Magic the Gathering. The Lord of the Rings set was massive, and then Commander Masters, if you remember at the beginning of the year, what everybody was excited about was Lord of the Rings and Commander Masters. I remember people coming into my store to order and being like, I don't know which one to do. I don't have enough money for both. I'm just gonna pick Lord of the Rings. And it was almost like they flipped a coin because they were so excited for those two things, Lord of the Rings and Commander Masters. This year though, maybe with the exception of Modern Horizons 3, I think Modern Horizons 3 will be the big exciting one of the year. But there's just not this extreme excitement for one particular, there's no Lord of the Rings set, right? There's nothing that just screams to me, oh my gosh, everybody and their grandma is gonna know about this, and Posty's gonna be, buying cards and whatever. And I think that might actually be good for the game next year. So much of the wallet fatigue happens, because of the expensive products. The value that they put on these products is insane. Commander Masters at, store costs of $300 whatever, over $320 a box is insane. Wallet fatigue kicks in there, but wallet fatigue also kicks in when there's these massive sets that everybody has to go to. And I think what they're going for here is a more even keel release schedule, where it's a little bit more, you kind of pick and choose. They said this previously, where you might not feel like a set is for you, and that's okay. And that's different. Again, for an old guy like me, that's different. But I actually think instead of all the money fluctuating into a 2 to 3 month window where you had Lord of the Rings and Commander Masters, I think you might see this even out a little bit better with a little uptick in Modern Horizons 3. So all in all, I think the year looks really cool. I think the thing that I am most excited about is actually the Fallout decks. I just think the Universes Beyond Commander thing has been so well done. We talked about this. I don't love if they're going to add it in, all this stuff, I want them to at least do it right and do it fun. And they have done that. And I don't like playing with, Legolas, and I don't like playing with Warhammer characters. And I want my Magic the Gathering to be authentic Magic the Gathering. That's gone though. It's over. It's never coming back. So the Fallout thing in a 4-deck commander set, I think is awesome. Now, I don't think they've revealed enough about this. If they do the 4-deck commander set plus set boxes and collector boxes, I'm not gonna like that. I kind of like just throwing in the 4 commander decks and that's it. I think the vast amount of product like they're doing with the Doctor Who set, it's just too much, and it just doesn't feel right. I like the specifics, so I don't think they got into that yet, but I hope that it's just commander decks. Modern Horizons 3, I think, of course, will be, format warping and for modern, but then it also produces these powerful cards. I assume we'll get an allied reprinted fetch land in there that I think will be really good. And then the last one I'm really excited about is Duskmourn, because holy moly, the artwork on that thing and the House of Horror, I just love the tropes and the ideas that they can present in that. And so I'm really excited for those 2 or 3 sets. But one of my big fears is that 2023 was so big. You had Lord of the Rings, you had Commander Masters. when everything's spread out, I wonder if the hype cycle and excitement that they produced in 2023 will be able to continue into 2024. Now, you do have some things, like Assassin's Creed has a big following, Fallout, obviously a big following, but those are not extreme hype cycle. So it'll be really interesting to see how they amp it up. And I hope that their answer to that is really, really cool game mechanics and play pieces that feel unique and different and that get people excited, just like the Warhammer decks did. If you look at the amount of cards in the Warhammer decks that are seeing play in Commander and people are excited about, I hope that they do the same type of thing where the mechanics of the game really make this product, all these products really shine. So let me know what you're most excited about in 2024. We'll continue to kind of dive deeper into each individual product on the channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, join along. Remember, the most important thing, be kind to people around you, and we'll see you again next video.